Hi, I'm Rick Stivers, and I'd like to welcome you to another installment of Young Martin's Reels. And today we're going to be working on this Zebco Pro Staff 2020. This reel was recently serviced, but in keeping with what we're planning to do here, which is try to create videos for every single fishing reel I can find, we want to try to show you how to do each and every one. And this one I've never done on video, so that's why we're going to do it. And so it's not going to need a lot of cleaning. So basically we're going to be taking it apart, doing a quick disassemble, inspection, put it back together. And if you notice, I've got my little service tag on it over here. It tells you when it was serviced, what kind of line was installed, when the line was purchased, and what exact kind of fishing line I have on it. This one's got Berkeley Trilene number 12 on it that I bought back in 2021. And so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is take this tag off, get it out of the way. We're going to open up the cap. Okay, and we're going to clip off the end of it here, trying to make servicing it a little bit easier. Alright, this one's got the screw-on spinner head, which means you don't have a nut to try to take off here. All you got to do is hold the handle in place and unscrew it. Once that's done, we can pop off the C-clip or E-clip, depending on how you want to call it, on the head. Watch it, it is a spring, it could go flying. Alright, then we've got a metal drag washer, followed up by a Teflon drag washer. I'm assuming it's Teflon, it appears to be. And then we've got the spool itself. Now stuck to the bottom of that, we've got the drag adjuster plate. We've got another metal drag washer and another Teflon washer. So, and like I said, it's recently been serviced, so all of those have been done. With that done, we're going to come over here and we're going to take the handle off. Alright, we got the handle. Let's wipe off the excess grease that's in here so we can get a hold of it. And there we go. That takes the back shell off. You can lubricate these 2 points in here. Just a little dab of grease on each little corner. Let's see what we have in here. Alright, now we've got our center axle shaft that has the pinion gear installed right here. That slides out. Well, the axle shaft itself does slide right out. Alright, so that made that easy. There we go, we have a C-clip. Notice we've got a C-clip down inside here. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's been a couple months since I was in this one. Alright, there's our C-clip right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop that C-clip out. Once that's out, this assembly will come out. Hold it in place over here, and one to push on the opposite side. I need to make a C-clip tool for these larger size, and I just haven't done it yet. Alright. Well, that could have very easily been popped out from the other side, but let's slide that the rest of the way out. There we go, and it'll fall down through this slot right here. There we go. Now with the C-clip out, it should come out to this point, and let's see, and we unscrew that out of this assembly. Now this assembly, see how it screws into it? This is our drag adjust. Alright, and the last piece left here is going to be the anti-reverse assembly right here. Alright, now notice the configuration that it sits in, or direction that it sits. If there's a square hole right here that it falls down into a rectangular hole right down in there, and this is going to sit right down inside there. The long part of it goes towards the bottom. There we go, like that. That's how it's designed to be done. Alright, so we're going to take that out, and then we're going to clean all the old grease out, which isn't really old grease, but we're going to clean it up anyway so that you see what it's supposed to look like when everything's cleaned up. Make sure to clean out the axle shaft hole. Now there's a spring assembly here on this main gear. Alright, and see the little tab here? This little tab turns down towards the gear itself. We're going to slide this off for the moment because we're going to put it back on. But what we want to make sure is that that's fitting tightly on the shaft, and it does. So we're going to slide it off of the shaft for a moment just to get the gear good and clean. Once it's clean, slip it back onto the shaft and make sure that the tab is turned towards the gear itself and slide it all the way down up against the ratchet. That's going to sit into this little cog right here. Okay, so that ratchet, that little is going to sit right into that. All right, let's get that out of the way. Let's clean up our center axle shaft. Make sure there are no chunks inside. Actually, when I did this a couple months ago, I was just new into doing this, and wasn't as good as I'm getting better all the time, and so I didn't do as good a job of cleaning up this pinion gear as I thought I had. So I probably scrubbed it down with a toothbrush and said, "Oh, that looks good," and let it go. Well, you want to do a little better than that looks good. You want to make sure that you have cleaned everything out of it, because a chunk of grease that's old and dried up, it's just like a little piece of metal almost inside there, or a big chunk of dirt, and what it'll do is it will catch and bind on that gear. Alright, that's got that. We're down to disassembly for the drag assembly. A while, because when I did this I wasn't using fishing reel drag washer grease yet, so this has been a little while. I have since purchased drag washer grease, and I now use it on all of my projects that have drag washers. So we're clean on the inside, we're clean on the back side, and this is where everything fits. So let's see about getting everything installed back into the case. Alright, we're going to start off with this block. We're going to zoom back out now. Okay, we're going to put this block, we're going to reinstall it inside the case here. It sits down in this hole right here. It's out, kind of matches the shape, and once that is done, we take our adjuster for our drag and we slip it in, adjust it, get it to where it fits through the holes, and then screw it in. You only need to screw it a little bit before you can stop. Once you've done that, take and hold it forward so that it's all the way up against the wall, or as far forward as the drag adjuster can come, and then slip your seat clip on and slip it into place. Now you can screw and unscrew this all you want, and it's not going to fall back out. Once that's done, come back with your main gear assembly, slide it in. Let's go ahead and I'll tell you what we're going to do on this one. This is a slip fit, so we're going to go back and add real oil to the shaft of this main gear assembly, because I have found that things that slide against each other tend to work much better with oil and smoother than grease in those same spots. And then we're going to put some oil on the threads of the adjuster. That'll help make it smoother. We've got that done. We're going to come back. We're going to put a few drops of oil on the shaft of the axle. Remember, this is going to slide up inside here. But now it's time to take some fishing reel grease and put it on the pinion gear. And put a little on the shaft here. And what you want to make sure of is that this, if you hold on to the gear, that you can slide this on the shaft to where it compresses the spring. You want to make sure that that will do that. I see a lot of people show people how to fix fishing reels, but I see them not tell them how to get that working. If it's jammed, you can work it back and forth. I've seen a lot of these that were completely jammed up and didn't work anymore, and they were fairly easy to free up. Okay, we put a little oil inside the shaft for the axle and the pinion. Slide it in. We're going to come back now, add more grease to the gear teeth. And remember, we inspected that the gear teeth there to make sure that there were no chips, no flat spots, no flattened out gears, no parts missing, that they were nice, clean gears ready to go. Give it a little spin, get the grease to evenly distribute along the gear teeth, and that's got that part. What are we missing? Oh, did we miss something? You bet we missed something. Let's go back, pull some stuff out, and let's take a look at what we missed. It's a good idea to review what you've done. The thing that we missed was our anti-reverse assembly here. All right, the large portion here goes to the bottom of the reel. Well, in this case, it will actually be the top, but in this scenario, the way we're looking at it, it goes right here, and that little tab right there fits into the little rectangular spot down here. Once it's in, like that, it'll pivot back and forth. All right. Now, this is where it becomes a little critical. Remember this tab on the back right here? And this is what we didn't grease yet. We're going to put a little grease on this cog assembly. That's the ratchet for the anti-reverse. This little tab has got to fit into this little slot right here. Let's see if I can use a pointer. That little slot right there has got to have this tab right here fit into it. So we're going to turn it over, start to slide it in. Oh, sorry, wrong hole. Start to slide it in and make sure that as it goes in, that little tab fits into that anti-reverse. Now, if it has gone in like it's supposed to, then it will rotate this way, but when you go back to go the other way, it will lock up. That means you've got your anti-reverse pawl in there the correct way. All right, now we can go back and slip the axle shaft assembly back in. Rotate it a little bit so it all falls into place. Make sure that it still won't go in reverse. Up. Now we're back to this cover. Now the button has fallen out of the cover, so let's go ahead while we're here and put just, and I mean the smallest dab of grease on each end of this post, because that plastic is going to be riding on just another plastic part in there. We're not talking Teflon, we're talking plastic, and we don't want that to wear down. Now also add just a little bit on where the button rides on the end of this post, and let's slip this down inside like so, and then let it pivot back into place. With that done, let's come back and slide this in. Now, everybody's going to have their own way of doing things. This is just the way that I have taught myself to do this. If you want to do it a little bit different, that's your option. That's fine. However you wish to do it. Well, I found that lately we got a lot of people from a lot of different places in the world popping in to visit some of my videos. So I'd like to say it's a free country, but hey, I don't know where they live. So go ahead and grease up this plate assembly. And now, if you look, right here you've got a slot for this tab right here to fit in. All right, we're going to bring this around and we're going to slide that over so that tab goes into that slot like that. And now when this adjuster adjusts in and out, it will move this tab over here. And that's going to move this plate up and down. All right, so we're going to adjust it all the way in so it's as far this way as it goes. With that done, we're ready to install our first drag washer. Notice they've got keyways on them. Well, those keyways fit into the little slots on the center post here. All right, slide it down. Once that's done, take and add a small amount of drag grease onto the plate. Now, there are a lot of people out there that will say it is a Teflon washer, therefore it does not need a drag grease. And if you wish to not use drag grease on a Teflon washer at all, hey, that's okay. I've just found that the drag grease on the Teflon washers works, so I'd rather just keep doing what I do that works great instead of worrying about it, something that might not. Now we're going to wipe off the old grease on the spool. Now you've got a top and a bottom to the spool. The bottom side has these little notches on it. Those are the clickers, or the notches for the clicker. This is your clicker pawl right here. And that's going to ride in those. If you grease that up along that clicker pawl, it will prolong the life of the clicker, but it also makes the clicker so you don't hardly hear it. So that's up to you if you wish to grease that part or not. I'm going to put just a little bit of grease on the washer section of the spool. Slide the spool on with the gear set, the teeth down. Here, let me get it up close. Can you hear that? Okay, that's that clicker. Now on the top, drag washer grease. We are going to install the next Teflon drag washer. Then we're going to come back and install this one. And it's not going all the way down. So do we have this adjusted the wrong way? Let's see if we can get this adjusted out. All right. Okay, with it adjusted out, now that fits fairly well. Let's see if we've got it down enough for this to be able to go into the slot. It doesn't feel like it's going in the slot. Yeah, it is. There's enough room. Okay, just I wanted to make sure, because you don't want it, the C-clip or E-clip, whichever one you want to call it, you don't want it to dig into the post. So make sure that the washer is down enough that you can push that in without digging into the post. There we go. With that done, we're going to come back, reinstall the handle. Now you don't have to put the handle on at this stage, but it tends to work better if you do, because you can use the handle then to hold the reel locked in place while you tighten down the spool or the spinner head. That's done. We're going to put the spinner head on now. Hold the handle tight, tighten the spinner head down, push your button, make sure that your tabs come in, rotate it, make sure that the spinner head tabs come back out. You know what? Let's back this up a little bit. Let's go ahead and put just a small amount of grease on this assembly here for the spinner head. All right, with that done, we're going to run the line back through the cover. There we go. All right, I know you thought I was done, but it wasn't. So it doesn't do anybody any good if I go through and do this and there's a problem and I don't encounter that, and I don't show you what in the world was that I had. So let me show you real quick. When I got done and when I would wind it, it would feel just like there was a small grumbling in the gear train. Even though the gear train looked fine, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. So I took it apart, cleaned it all again, put it all back together, and I kept getting to this part right here, and I would do this, and I would get a gear, there it is right there, right there. All right, and what I found is that when you put this together, if you've got a gear grind here, that's not a problem, okay? When you get this back together, oh, the shaft has come out, okay. Let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and start the spinner head on right here. Just enough to get it started, just enough to hold the shaft in. All right, now slide this in like so. All right, once that's in, what you need to do, put your handle back on, push your button to get this spinner head out as far as it will go, and then tighten it down some more. Then push it in again and tighten it down some more. You need to have the spinner head fully down, because if you don't get it all the way down, you'll end up with that gear rumble. Once it's tightened all the way down though, there is no more gear rumble. All right? So I wanted you to see that. I didn't want to just hide it and say, oh, well, yeah, it's working great, because it wasn't. It had a problem, and I wanted you to see what it was. I didn't have the spinner head tightened down enough, and it took me a minute or two to figure out what it was that was causing that. Go ahead, put your cap back on. Put your handle back on. Let's tighten it down all the way. Now we should have a nice functioning reel that's doing what it's supposed to do. No more gear rumble. Let's see if we've got drag. Drag's all the way adjusted in. Let's loosen the drag up a little bit. Still adjusted in too far. There we go. There's our drag. Okay, so there we have the Zebco Pro Staff 2020. And for those of you over in the Facebook vintage Zebco reels, I realize this isn't a vintage reel, well, not by your standards. And I think they stopped making these in 1998, so that's still almost 25 years old. But there it is. There's how to service one and get it up and running again. And this is Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels. Thank you.